I would now invite Mr. Michael Enderle, who is the director of the Swiss Business Hub. He will briefly introduce Swiss Business Hub and also then our next speaker.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much to the organizers and to the ambassador to give me a very short time slot to quickly introduce the Swiss Business Hub India. As we are aware, innovation is related to science, but is also related to business. And the Year of Swiss Innovation was supported by many Swiss companies to bring really innovation on the ground of realization. And the Swiss Business Hub India is the official trade and investment agency of the Swiss government here in India. We are based in Mumbai, and we have two mandates from the Swiss government. One is to attract Swiss companies to invest in India or to distribute in India, to sell in India. That's, let's say, the traditional task we are executing. And the other one is the investment promotion program, which has the purpose to attract Indian companies to invest in Switzerland. To give you a number, we have already 130 odd Indian companies operating out of Switzerland, to manage their European headquarters out of Switzerland, to operate in the context of the pharma sector, and that's also an aspect for which we come to Ahmedabad, because we know all Ahmedabad is also a pharma hub, and quite a number of pharma companies here out of the region are interested to be present in Switzerland to expand their global exposure, their global opportunities, and we have the pride to run in Switzerland about 300 plus companies with their global or European headquarters. And the Swiss attraction mandate, the export as we call it, we have approximately 250 Swiss companies which are already present here in India. So India is a very important market, a key market for the Swiss industry, and especially also for the transportation, which we try to attract here. And in this context, I have now the pleasure to introduce Michele Molinari. He is the CEO and owner of MOLINARI Limited, based in Winterthur. And as I got to know Mr. Molinari, he's a global citizen, working out of Winterthur, which is a very traditional manufacturing city in Switzerland. And Michele is a true entrepreneur. You know, really being flexible, open-minded, with a spirit of implementation, a spirit of innovation. And in that context, he is board member of the Swiss Rail Association, which is the key association for the entire industry. Second, also he's focused his work on transportation system with a special focus on urban and regional transportation. So I'm very happy and proud to ask you on the stage, Michele, to share with us your experience as an entrepreneur and as a board member of Swiss Rail Association. Thank you very much.
Dear Ambassador, ladies and gentlemen, it's an honor for me to be here today and to speak to you today. First of all, I would like to confirm everything what Dominic Brühwiler just said about the urban transport system in Zurich area and in Switzerland. I'm a frequent user, despite the fact that I'm traveling a lot, but it's really one of the most perfect systems I know. And I would like to thank Dominic and his colleagues for the good work they do for us as citizens and users, because we then earn the fruits of their daily work. And also thank you to Michael for these kind words, for introducing me. And I will speak and bring you closer to some of Swiss innovations in the rail sector. As Michael said, I'm an entrepreneur. I have my own company since 1994. And MOLINARI Rail is a specialized engineering group in the rail sector out of Winterthur. Maybe you remember Winterthur, the Swiss locomotive works, which delivered steam locomotives here to India, were in the same town. We are active around the globe, but since many years we have had projects also here in India. We are specialized in all aspects of rolling stock, as locomotives, tramways, EMUs, DMUs, coaches, wagons, name it. And we do consulting, engineering, analysis, and systems. We also deliver components. Together with our clients, we design new trains, we modernize trains, we bring them up to speed, we enhance the comfort, and we then manufacture parts and deliver them, and we support our clients in maintaining their vehicles. As Michael said, I'm a board member of Swiss Rail, and MOLINARI Rail has been a long-time member of the Swiss Railway Industry Association. Swiss Rail has more than 110 members, and they cover all sectors and all fields of railway technology of Switzerland. Swiss Rail also promotes the export of the members and, of course, of the technology out of Switzerland around the globe. Maybe you recognize some of the companies which are listed here. And I can assure you that they are very innovative, competitive, and world-class. I would like to mention some of them to you. Maybe you know them. For sure, maybe ABB, the company Amberg, Bombardier, Hess, a nice producer of buses, Ganser, out of Winterthur as well, as we are, Secheron, Siemens, Stadler Rail, and SMA, just to mention a few. I would like to focus my short presentation on innovations from the Swiss rail sector, and I have focused on three fields, which are technology, operation, and passengers. Each of these fields has its own requirements. Some of them are standalone, and others depend on each other to work and work hand in hand. And for example, if there are innovations which would be a big help for the passengers, it can only be the fact and the help if the operators adopt it, for example. So it needs a constant exchange. As you know, and as Mr. Ambassador said, in Switzerland we have a long history of innovation, not only in rail and in transportation. Since 1847, the first train started its operation in Switzerland. Many innovations have been coming out of the Swiss rail sector, which today are commonplace around the globe. It would take too much time to list them all and explain them in detail, but believe me, there are many, many things coming out of Switzerland. If we then speak about innovation, often we think or ask ourselves, what is the next big thing? You would say that in IT, the question is, what is it in transportation? Urban, regional, or intercity transportation. Honestly, I don't know what this will be. It could be, for example, Hyperloop or some other high-flying project. But honestly, I'm not so sure. if there will be this next big thing, which will be replacing the tracks, the rails, and the vehicles as we know it today. What I know is that innovation is a continuous process and a time-consuming process. Innovation is usually the results of a lot of thinking, a lot of trying, and of failure. If you don't try, you don't fail. If you don't try, if you don't fail, you do not improve. I think all of you know that pretty well. That's a common lesson life tells you or teaches you. In any case, it is the combination of many factors which lead to innovations, like new materials, new manufacturing processes, miniaturization, and out of these, the many ideas come up and then lead into new ideas, and maybe it takes years until such new ideas then make it into production and down to the market. What I also know is, and I hope you share this with me, is that our sector is influenced by the mega trends of our time. There is no doubt, I think, that digitalization has a big influence, big data. Of course, more now in my sector, 3D printing or additive manufacturing sooner or later will have its impact on the way we are producing things and where we are producing them. But also the Internet of Things is a factor, and I'm sure we will see some innovations coming into railway vehicles, for example. And artificial intelligence is there. Usually we don't see it because it's working behind the curtains, but it's there. And it will help and boost and drive innovation as we have it. There are many points around these three technology, innovation, and passengers, which interact with each other and which are important for the rail sector. And if you remember what Dominic Prewheeler before showed, the number of trains getting, for example, into and out of Zurich main station at almost the same time. So stability and reliability of the stability of the network, of the operation, the reliability and the availability of the technical infrastructure, the vehicles, and everything what is needed to make rail work is key. And this is not only for the operator key, but it's also key for the passengers, because they rely and depend on that it happens on time, and because they want to go to their job, to their school, to their university, or just home. We public transport users in Switzerland are very spoiled. If, for example, we have a 3 minutes delay somewhere, we think that things are going very bad today. Yeah, and in order not to make it happen and to stay within the limits Dominic Prewheeler said before, and to have this seamless integration happening, things have to go very, very good. Some small incident or technical failure can have a big impact. And therefore, reliability, availability, stability, maintenance, etc. is very, very important to make such a thing happen. And therefore, everything has to work hand in hand, 24/7, 365 days a year, like a Swiss clock. For this reason, Swiss operators have high demands on the companies of the rail sector to deliver good products and to make sure that they are reliable, available, easy to maintain, easy to operate, and not too costly and competitive, because we are compared to the other products and companies coming from outside. So we have to work and compete with this competition. In the following, I would like to show you some real examples of the last few months or recent months in which Swiss companies of the rail sector have brought innovations to the marketplace. The first example you see here is a section of an aluminum profile. Maybe you know, we in Switzerland, we like aluminum a lot. And we have a long tradition in producing aluminum parts, in manufacturing them, and in using them for railway car bodies. So the industry is always looking and trying to improve this. And what you see here is the first proven part using stir friction welding. This technology is used in aviation sometimes and in other industries, but this is the first application of stir friction welding, which makes it easier to weld. It's less heavy, can be automized, and it reduces weight and the number of hours to build something. And it reduces the number of parts and therefore makes the product cheaper, more competitive. This innovation, production innovation has been just shown by the company Arex at the InnoTrans fair in September in Berlin for the first time. Another innovation is this anti-climber. In the last 1 or 2 decades, a lot has been done to improve the safety of rail vehicles in the remote case of a crash. Over the years, experience have been gathered of how these crashes evolve and what happens. And what you see here and what we have seen is that the vehicles sometimes slip to the side. When they connect, they slip to the side. This anti-climber makes sure that the vehicles connect and don't slip apart. We, MOLINARI Rail, has shown this for the first time also in September at InnoTrans. And it's done this way that even existing anti-climbers can be retrofitted to make sure that there is a clear connection between the vehicles. Another new thing which will be introduced next year, you see here this red vehicle here, this one. This is the new high-speed train which will be introduced next year by Swiss Federal Railway. It's produced by the company Stadler. You see here the car body, which has low floor entrance. It's complete continuous floor, but it's low floor. And it's low floor with the low platform height, and it's the first train as we know it in Europe to be produced. And this is a new thing coming. All other faster trains or similar trains have grades to go in. This is another example of continuous work. About 30% of the energy to move a train from A to B is used for either cooling it or heating it, depending on the time of the year. And we are looking for ways to reduce this energy consumption because the overall efficiency shall be improved. And it took a lot of work to develop this new simulation method to simulate the car body, the climate in the train, the airflow with and without people or moving people, and in movement of the train. This new concept has been developed by the company Zopas in collaboration with MOLINARI in the last year. Another new innovation, maybe you have seen or heard about it, is catenary-free tram operation. In Geneva, the first tram line will go shortly into operation where there is no catenary. The tram will operate on batteries, and the batteries will be recharged in the station. Similar things can be done also with buses. And in Geneva, this will be the first application in Switzerland, developed and introduced by the company ABB. Then an example more close to operations as well. The company Stadler, in collaboration with an operator, made it possible to achieve 99% of availability of a fleet of trains. It's not a very huge fleet of trains, but they make 99%. This helped, or this enabled, the operator to operate with no spare trains. And this is an intercity connection. So a few hundred kilometers, no spare trains. And they have achieved phenomenal rates in availability, reliability. The customers are extremely happy, and this is very good. I think this is one of the most highest availability I know for a double-deck train. You know, this is not a small train, this is quite a complex train, goes 200 kilometers an hour, and it shows that the collaboration between the operation and the maintainer and the producer is very important and can achieve a lot of good things. The operators in Switzerland, like Swiss Federal Railways and all the big and small other operators there are, they introduce small and big innovations in the stations to make the life of passengers easier, the transit from one place to the other easier, and there are big and small things happening behind the curtain. And I think it would take too long to show them all, but believe me, there is done a lot big of work to do that. Another new, somebody asked about door-to-door connectivity, and the Swiss Federal Railway will introduce next year and try a new service which is called Green Class, where you have an electric car, you can drive it, and you have also a general ticket or for the whole network of Switzerland. So it's all electric mobility, zero emissions, and it's in one ticket. You pay once the price, you get all trains of Switzerland, all trains, ships, funiculars, whatever, as Dominic explained it, plus electric mobility for the time when you go to other places. And last but not least, Swiss Federal Railways just introduced a new mobile app for your mobile phones. It's much, much, much better than the old one. And it has been a big success, just introduced last week. Thousands of people have downloaded it. It makes it very easy to find out where to go, when to go, buy tickets, everything at your fingertips with the least amount of clicks. So this is an extract of what is being done by the Swiss rail sector in the field of innovation, and believe me, this is a constant process. So as I said, it's a constant process and it cannot be stopped. It's continuous. And as I said at the beginning, we have a long tradition in innovation. And this makes that our industry, our companies, when we work together, are moving ahead and being able to export our products and services to to foreign countries, for example, like India. And why it cannot be stopped, it's because it's in our DNA. And you can be sure that more innovation of the Swiss railway sector is to come. Thank you very much.